Hi, I'm Fred and you're watching Invades, the channel on history and board game. Usually for Christmas what I do is an unboxing of my secret wargame Santa gift, which I didn't receive early enough this year. So instead what I will do is just a global overview of the games that I like this year to give you a bit of a sense of what I've been playing and also sharing some of the love for those games. So first of all, if you're my secret Santa, shame on you.
Shame! Shame!
But that's fine. I know those gifts are coming. I know it can be a bit tricky during the Christmas season to have them being shipped on time, so that's fine. I will share some updates on Blue Sky about the gifts that I received. And if you wish to see what other members of the Homolidence Discord community had, we actually had a Christmas stream last week where people unboxed live the gifts that I got. My target for the BGG Wargame Secret Santa, which is an initiative that I really recommend that you participate in, it's a great way to spread the love of wargaming across the world, was a really nice chap in the US that actually had on his wish list a Gest of Robin Hood, so it was pretty funny. So I had one remaining designer copy that I opened up, signed, and sent over to the US, and it looks like he was happy with it. So if you're watching, once again, Merry Christmas, and I hope you'll have fun with the game. This year was pretty awesome for the channel. Not the best year, but compared to the activity that I had, which was of course impacted by the move back to France and all those kind of stuff, was actually kind of good. So we had 180,000 views this year, which is not massive, but pretty decent, especially compared, as I said, to the amount of video that I released. We also had 1.5 thousand new subscribers. Once again, not my best year, but pretty solid. I think the COVID years were the really good ones, so keeping a really high level of new subscribers, even if it's not as high, is actually pretty good. So I would say that the channel is overall pretty healthy. The top 3 videos of this year was, if I remember correctly, on the number 3 was Clean Wehrmacht, wargame ethics discussion on the myth of the Clean Wehrmacht and how it permeates into wargaming, which was a really interesting discussion and actually sparked in me an interest in making a whole series about it, and I found someone to work with on, and we're gonna have it in a podcast format, I believe, so keep posted for that next year. The second best video was the unboxing of a Gest of Robin Hood, which is my latest game, and that was released earlier this year. And then the best video, the one that scored the highest amount of views, was the teach and play of Rebel Fury with Mark Herman. And once again, thanks Mark for always coming on the channel. People really enjoy having you on and knowing more about your games. And yeah, Rebel Fury is also one of the games that I enjoyed the most this year, so that was a good match. So the idea for me in this video, because I have nothing to unbox, is to talk about the top 5 games that I enjoyed, and the way I did this is I separated 2 top 5s. One is looking at non-historical board games, and the other one is looking at historical board games. I think it's really important for me to differentiate the both, because I don't expect the same things from those 2 categories of games, and I play equally non-historical and historical games. I'm interested in games overall, and I also want to use this Christmas video to showcase the fact that I'm not solely focused on historical games. I will start with the non-historical ones, and the way I ordered them is I looked at games that were new for me this year, and the games that at the same time were the game that I played the most, but also that had the biggest impact on me. So it's a bit of a unclear scoring that only makes sense in my mind, but that's basically the gist of it. So in the non-historical one, the number 5 was Medici. If you've seen the video where we debrief Aircon convention with Joe Dewhurst on the channel, you'll have noticed that we raved about this game. It is an old Rainer Knizia game. Rainer Knizia is one of my favorite non-historical designer. He's amazing at making very elegant and very engaging designs, and we discovered Medici during Aircon, which is a auction game classic that I had never played before, and we just had a blast. I think with the right crowd and with the right mindset, you're just having a lot of fun. Yeah, no notes awesome game, an oldie, but definitely a goodie. I think in number 4, I would put Bonfire by Stefan Feld. Classic Euro game with like an unusual theme, like sort of a fantasy theme that for me doesn't do much, I must say. The theme is quite weak, but the game is extremely interesting, well thought out, a lot of really interesting decisions, and I've been playing this one 2-player with my partner quite a bit. She completely loves it, and I guess we're probably going to explore more Stefan Feld design in the future. And yeah, it's something that I really enjoyed, played a lot. Not my favorite type of game, but once again, it's a really nice competitive puzzle to play, and I played it quite a bit this year, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Number 3 is Harmonies, which was a bit of a surprise. It's a small, I would say, tile laying game that has a bit of a, I would say, PAX element to it. I think PAX is really a stretch, but you actually draw some objective cards and you're trying to make combos on your own board. For me, it replaced Azul this year. It is a very cute game. It gives actually quite a lot of space for decision making and strategic planning. I think it's a great game, just a pleasure to play, a pleasure to look at, quite fast, but also quite demanding in terms of thinking about what you do, which is something that I look for in those simpler games. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and it's been probably mine and my partner's favorite game to play, just the two of us. Number 2 is going to be a bit unexpected and quite a departure from the games that I mentioned before, and that's Interstellar by Philipp Lund. It is a beast, and it is not a Euro game. You could say that it's not the most elegant design by any means when you compare it to those other games, but what Interstellar has for it is this completely amazing way of having players around the table building stories together, and stories that are quite fascinating. And I'm a big fan of sci-fi. I really like hard science fiction, and this game was quite a revelation to me. I was playing this in the context of a bigger project that you will hear more about next year, but it was a great discovery. I played it a lot with some other French players, really interesting people, so it was both the experience of discovering the game, but also discovering a new group of people that I had never played with before, and this in conjunction made for an amazing gaming experience, and I had a lot of fun with Interstellar, and I think it's a very impressive design. I have a couple of honorable mentions before I talk about my number 1. The first honorable mention is Flesh and Blood, and Flesh and Blood is a tradable card game, which I would say is today's biggest competitor to Magic the Gathering. I used to play Magic when I was a teenager. I've been trying to get back into it multiple times as an adult, and it always failed. And I started playing Flesh and Blood a few years back when I discovered the game in London. I bought a few pre-constructed small size deck called Blitz decks, and I had fun with it, but it stayed at this. I didn't play much more of it. But since I moved back to France, I actually met with other players that are actually playing it very seriously. And I got to really deep dive into the meta, understanding how the game works, discovering the different characters. And I completely fell in love with the system. And it's the first time I'm thinking that I want to be good enough to play competitively at a TCG. And yeah, having a blast with it, taking a lot more time than I expected playing this game. But yeah, having a lot of fun. The second honorable mention is a game that is completely fascinating and that I've been waiting for a while, and that's Cole Wehrle's latest design, and that's Arcs. The reason it's not in the top 5 is because I haven't played it enough. I only played a couple of games, and we started a campaign with Joe and Pierre, which will be broadcasted on the channel, so remember to subscribe if you want to see what's coming up. I need to play it more, but from now I would expect that it might be my favorite game of 2024. It's just that I don't know enough yet. I need to play more, but the couple of games I did were pretty fascinating. So what was my number 1? My number 1 is definitely not a new game. It is an old Splotter game, and that's Cannes. We had actually a stream of Cannes on the show, even though it's not really a historical game, but it made sense because we're talking about the Cannes Festival and we're streaming it at the time of the Cannes Festival. And it is a weird little game that I am obsessed with. I really like the art. I really like the way it works. I feel like it's a very different kind of game. I feel like it gives players very interesting decisions. And I think it's quite fascinating. There is a lot of cool ideas behind it. There is a lot of cool ideas about representing social networks, about representing time, about representing production. And I think it's just this kind of weird game that is weirdly not loved by the crowd that usually loves those Splotter-Spellen games. And I think it's a bit of a shame, because it is a game that is quite unique and quite refreshing, and that I would recommend anyone to try out. And before talking about the top 5 historical games, I would like to give a major thanks to the community. And actually, if you want to join the community, you can donate on Ko-fi, and that would be great, because that means that you support the channel. That means that I can keep improving my content, but also that I stay independent and I don't have to monetize this channel, so I can talk about whatever I want. And that's actually quite critical. And if you donate on Ko-fi, you will have access to the Homo Ludens Discord server. And the Discord server has been quite amazing this year again. It's a very active community. There is a lot of interesting things happening there. Designs are coming out of it. It is very cool just to interact with all of those people on a daily basis. And for me, it's one of the things that I'm most excited about when it comes to gaming, but also content creation. The community has been great. The donations have enabled me to buy a new camera this year, to buy new lights, to buy new historical hats for future streams. And yeah, it has just been great. And also, I said, I think a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year, that I wanted to build upon this community, to create more collaborationship within the community, to have more people joining in. And I feel like over the last 18 months, this has happened in a quite significant way. A great example of this is the We Intend to Move On Your Works podcast by Pierre and Stuart that was nominated for the Summit Awards. We didn't win this year, but I'm pretty sure that we'll get some prizes in the future. It's an amazing podcast that I almost have nothing to do in. It's just a spin-off of the wider Homo Ludens community, and it's one of the most exciting stuff that actually I've listened to. So I'm really excited and really proud that it came out of the community, and I'm really looking forward to see how this is going to evolve, and I expect it's going to evolve in the future. So yeah, join this crazy community and have fun with really interesting people. But anyway, now let's talk about the top 5 historical games that really struck me this year. The first one is going to be a bit unexpected, but that's Mémoire 44. I actually never really played Mémoire 44 before this year. I played it a bit just to see how it works, and I wasn't really interested in it. I was interested in other command and color systems. As you might know, I'm a big fan of the medieval one. Super excited about the Crusade expansion that was recently released. But yeah, someone organized a tournament on the Homo Ludens Discord server for Mémoire 44. I played it on BGA quite a bit, and I realized that maybe it's not the command and color game that I'm the most excited about, but it has been here for so long, and it had such a success that it has actually a lot of really interesting scenarios, a lot of really interesting things going for it, a lot of different units, different armies, different and creative objectives, and yeah, had a lot of fun with it. And I realized that actually Mémoire 44 is not that bad. The number 4 game is Table Battles by Amabel Holland. The reason I played this a lot this year, and that's going to be a trend for the other games that are coming up in this list, and that's because it was implemented on Rally the Troops. I used to play it a bit when it was released. I thought it was interesting, but I never really deep dived into it. Since it was added to Rally the Troops, I played it quite a lot with Joe Dewhurst, but I also started an American Civil War campaign, playing all the battles chronologically with Pierre. And yeah, having a lot of fun. I think that all of those scenarios are super interesting. All of them are really clever puzzles that you're trying to crack, but also you never know how things are going to work out because you're rolling dice. And it's just a really cool system. I bought Doom Battles during PunchCon this year. I still haven't played it, but I'm super excited too. And yeah, it's a game that I really enjoyed this year. Number 3 is Pax Renaissance, and this is because there is a BGA implementation of it that I play tested, and then that I played a lot on after it was released. Actually, the conceptor or the developer of this module is the same that is doing currently a Gest of Robin Hood. And yeah, I've already talked a lot about PAX Renaissance. It is an amazing game, probably one of my favorite in the PAX series, even if it's very fiddly and a bit chaotic. I think it's amazing. Go watch one of the streams where I play it or when I talk about it. Number 2 is more a series than a game. So I wrote down Napoleon Invades Spain, but it's actually the whole library of Napoleonic battles by Kevin Zucker. Is something that I wanted to try for a while, but I was a bit worried about, and I started playing it this year. Had a lot of fun with it and also fell in love with the system. I think it's really great. I think it covers grand strategic scale really well. And yeah, it's something that I'm playing more and more, enjoying a lot more. And I hope to feature on the channel a bit more next year. So expect some more content on this series coming up. One honorable mention, and I'll be very quick, it would be weird for me not mentioning it, but that's a Gest of Robin Hood that I played a lot. But for once, usually I don't really enjoy playing my own games once they are done. Once I'm done with the design and all the whole production process, I'm a bit sick with the game. That was the case for Red Flag over Paris. It is the case for A Very Civil Whist. I might come back to it, but anyway, I actually quite enjoyed playing A Gest of Robin Hood since it was released. I played it quite a bit for demonstrations, but also for fun, and that was great. So yeah, honorable mention, a bit of auto promo. The second printing is coming soon. Some very minor adjustments in colors and some clarifications. No big deal, but I think an improved version. So that's also nice. If you don't have it, I would recommend that you get it. And finally, my favorite historical game of the year, that's Pax Spinning. That might not be a surprise if you've watched the channel this year. Pax Spinning is one of the most exciting games I've played in quite a while. A very interesting take on the Pax series, a series that I really love, made by someone that I really admire as a designer, and I feel like she's always coming with really interesting twists, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of her work in the future. So Pax Spinning, and I realize I haven't said her name, was designed by Matilda Simonsen, the designer of Turncoats, which I really enjoyed, but this one is for me next level. This idea of merging very abstract game to a very thematic theme is working really, really well. And it demonstrated that the roll and move mechanic is actually super interesting if you use it well, which is also reinforcing this idea that I have that a mechanic in itself is just a tool if it's used well and to serve a purpose, and to serve the purpose of the theme actually works really, really well. And in this case, that's a perfect example of that. Really impressive design. One of those games where, yeah, you're just amazed. You're not even jealous of the quality of the design. You're just happy that someone actually came up with a game like this. So really love this. If you haven't played it, I recommend that you do. It's a great game, and we also have a stream where we play it with Dan Thurrow, Matilda, and the graphic designer. I don't remember his first name. I'm really sorry for this, but anyway, go and watch this. We had a lot of fun with it, and I think it's the most interesting and fascinating historical game that I played this year. And before finishing the video, I'm going to talk a bit about the design work that I've been doing this year, which is not necessarily the core of the channel, but you can see that the two overlap. You've seen that some of the people that I talk to or people that I've been working with or stuff like this, so it makes sense that I also talk a bit about this. Some of the people watching this channel are also interested in the games that I work on, and I would say that this year was a bit rough when it comes to game design for multiple reasons. One of them was the amount of energy and time that was invested in the move and the renovation of the house that I'm in now, and that actually has a bathroom finally and a kitchen, and that took a while. A lot of time was spent on this, and I couldn't spend as much time on game design that I wish. I also have ongoing struggles with mental health issues that I've mentioned, I think, a couple of years ago. It's going better, but you still have those ups and downs, and it's still a bit of a struggle. It can put me in a bit of a lethargic state sometime where I can struggle to do anything really. So all this taken into account made it so that I didn't do much or as much as I wanted when it comes to game design. But I'm really happy to announce that A Very Civil Whist was wrapped up earlier this year, and the files have been laid out, and I think it's at the printer right now, and it should be out hopefully for UKGE next year, so that's really cool. We are currently with Brian in the process of finalizing Napoleon 1870 for Shaco's Games. I've been a bit slow on this one because it was hard to get back into it, and there was a lot of back and forth regarding some of the graphic design, but also we needed to come up with additional scenarios to make the box as interesting as possible, and I've been really slow at doing this. But yeah, the thing that I started doing at the end of the year and actually helped me feel more confident and competent in actually game design was helping others working on their own game. And I've done two things this year, and I think it's gonna keep on going at the beginning of next year. One of them is quite unusual for me. I worked on a game system. So the original war game system is called Turnip 28, and it is a figurine war game, which you might be surprised about because I'm not really a big figurine war gamer guy. But the idea was to actually transpose the system into a more tactical system with smaller squads, which is something that I'm actually quite interested in. I discovered Necromunda thanks to Joe Dewhurst earlier this year, and I've been enjoying this quite a bit. So working on a small skirmish system was actually quite fun. And yeah, we've been working on this. I think the universe of Turnip 28 is quite amazing, and I was really excited to actually work on this. That was a lot of fun. I hope that something will come out of it in the future. And yeah, it was a very different experience, really interesting to work within the framework of someone else and within type of system that I'm not really used to, and try to bring like a fresh perspective, even if it's hard because I don't have the full context of how those games work. So sometimes you feel like you're innovating and you're actually just reinventing the wheel, but it was actually really interesting to explore that whole area of wargaming that I don't know much about. The other thing is I've been working on another game called With the Hammer for CSL. If you watched the show lately, you might have seen the stream where I invited Ray, the designer of the game, to talk about it. And there was also Doug, a historian that helped Ray in the historical research behind the game. And that was also a lot of fun. Originally, Ray wanted us to co-design it, and I didn't really have the time, I wasn't really available. It was a bit frustrating because I was really interested in the topic, and then I thought working with Ray would be fun. But yeah, sometimes those things don't happen, but I was really happy to jump in on the project at the end of it and trying to support Ray in refining some of the mechanics, making the game flow in a smooth way, and trying just to help him like refine some of the flow and having fun, adding some decision depth to some aspects. And yeah, working with Ray was very cool. I enjoyed the experience quite a bit. We were very different in the sense that he goes very fast. He actually works like I used to work before I had a mental breakdown, and now I struggle to do, but it was also very nice in the way that he was approaching it, being very respectful of the fact that sometimes I could be a bit struggling and all this. And it was actually also very freeing for me because it wasn't my game. I was really here to help, and yeah, I feel a lot more relaxed, and I just really enjoyed the collaborationship with him. So that was fun, and I feel like it helped me get back into the game, you could say. And that means that I actually started working on new projects, which I think is quite interesting. And I hope to talk about it more soon, but for now I won't really mention much of it, but I hope to have some newer prototypes coming next year, and maybe have my next GMT game to sign with them, hopefully. We'll see, but I need to figure out what is the right design for GMT in their collaborationship with me. But I have other projects that might be in other series from other publishers that would also be a nice way for me to get back into it. So I'm pretty excited about what's coming up in 2025. And I think that's pretty much it. I want to wish a Merry Christmas to everyone. Thanks again for your ongoing support. And yeah, it's been a good year on YouTube. I'm expecting to have a really fun year next year. Have some really interesting streams that are planned already for January and February that should be a lot of fun. So yeah, starting the year pretty excited about the content that's going to come up. We'll see if there will be as many dramas next year than last year. And yeah, have a Merry Christmas. I hope to see all of you very soon, and enjoy some really good time with your family. Bye bye. هيهم عرفونا وسواد عيونا زي الزيتونة والله حبيبتي بمقام عالي ثمنها يا ناس غالي يلا على دلعونا هيهم عرفونا